remember our lessons.
All right, so why do you think, given what we've been talking about and studying, I would be asking you about Angry Birds?
They make a quadratic graph by jumping. They go.
The best Angry Bird is the yellow one.
Agreed.
Well,
They absolutely do make parabolic shapes as they fly through the air. What are the things that you can control in the game?
How tight you
Trajectory.
pull the rope, and then the angle at which you shoot it at.
Yes, the angle, the trajectory, and also how far you pull it back. Why does it matter how far back you pull it?
How much power is behind it?
How much power is behind it? Can you control where the slingshot is located?
yeah, no.
No.
No. Slingshot is in one spot, can't move it.
Turn it down a little.
You can change the angle, you can change the force. Can you change gravity? No, it's going to fall back to the ground, right? Okay, so I want you to imagine with me for a moment that this equation right here models one of the bird's flight paths. And it kind of gives you that dotted line that you can look at, right? So you can try your best to hit as many as possible. So here's the equation that the programmer put in for one of the birds. What does the H represent here? Height. H represents the bird's height. So what's the other variable mean? Time. What information would you find out by solving this? What did I change about this one? What's different between these two?
It's 0.
The height is 0. So what would you find if I asked you to solve this?
Wait, no time.
We would find the time when what?
Height is 0.
When the height is, what does that mean? If I say I'm going to find the time when the height is 0.
The begin.
Then,
The start. Or the
I
end.
heard
end
two
or the
correct
start.
answers. The start or the end, assuming that they start where? From the ground. Is that slingshot always on the ground?
No.
No. Sometimes that slingshot is a little bit further up. If you look at this, can you tell me how high off the ground the slingshot is starting? How high off the ground is that slingshot?
45.
45. How do you know?
I don't know. Because it says 45. And that's the starting, that's like the beat.
Not the B, but
C.
that's our C value. You remember ABC form?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's supposed to be
Normally we see it A and then B and then C. They don't have it written in order here. If we were going to rewrite this, let me write this down here. If I was going to put this in standard form, what would it look like? H of t equals, what normally goes at the beginning?
negative 16 t squared
Yep, negative 16t squared
plus 25t
plus 25t
plus 45.
plus 45. So even when they don't have it in order, you know that the initial height when it's in this standard form is the one that doesn't have any variables with it. So even if they give it to us out of order, we should still be able to find that initial height. So knowing that this slingshot is not on the ground to begin with, if I solve it for when the height is 0, what's it telling me? If I solve the equation when the height is 0, what would it tell me? When it hit the ground at the end, right? This tells me when the bird hits the ground, assuming it doesn't hit anything else in between. Would that equation be helpful in determining if any of the piggies were hit? Why or why not?
Actually, well, no, because it just tells you the time
And the height.
and so yeah, and the height and like, I mean, it doesn't. If it was like, oh, at this time, a piggy was hit maybe, but no, because if it like it says tell you when the bird hits the ground, it just shows like at the end. It doesn't know like maybe it hit a piggy and then fell to the ground. So then you only know the ground. You wouldn't know it hit a piggy.
There we go. Absolutely great discussion of that point, Tristan. Most of the time the piggies aren't on the ground. This guy is, right? But most of the others are not. Solving that equation that we just had up here, that's only going to tell me at a height of 0. Well, if the piggy's not on the ground, if the piggy's up in the air, this one doesn't help me find that. How would I write this equation so that I could solve it if I knew that one of the piggies was 8 feet in the air?
We would substitute it for the height.
So what would it look like? You're absolutely correct.
8 equals, you could switch around the numbers if you want, but like negative 16t squared plus 25t. I mean,
Yeah, plus 45.
is it plus 25?
Yep.
Oh yeah, because it's a negative. And then plus.
Yep, this is what we would solve. So how is that one different than the one that we were just talking about?
Because it tells you the exact time when the piggy was hit, when it was 8 feet in the air,
And the last one told us what?
when it hit the ground.
When it hit the ground. So this one finds the time at 8 feet. Last one was at 0 feet. Can you solve it?
Yeah. We can subtract 45.
We can subtract 45 from both sides, okay. What do we get if we subtract 45 from both sides?
37.
So I would have negative 37 equals negative 16t squared plus 25t. Right? Where would I go from there to finish solving it? Yes, Tristan?
Sorry. Can you? Yeah, you can take out a greatest common factor. Okay. No, you could just set it. Okay, add the 37 back to the other side,
Okay.
and then you can take. I have no idea what we're going to all this. I don't think there.
That's okay. I like your thinking.
But
Okay, so you said add it to the other side. So now I have 0 equals, I'm going to have to scoot all of this over a little bit. That would give me 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 25t plus 37, right?
And then you can factor.
And then we can try to factor it. What do I need in order to be able to factor?
you need to multiply 37 by negative 16.
Grab your calculators, do that for me. Negative 16 times 37. Yep.
Negative 5
negative 592. What would go on the bottom?
37? I mean 25.
25. So I need to find two numbers that when I multiply them give me negative 592, but when I add them, I get a positive 25. I'll save us some time. There aren't two numbers that do this.
Are you for real?
I'm for real.
So what if we just like?
It's one of
So
those.
you could go back to the negative 37. Oh, even if you did take out the t, like you can't factor out all even if you took out the t.
Correct.
So you just left it at that's your appropriate method. No.
Well, that would
Graph
be,
it.
we could graph it. Absolutely. I can go in and graph it. I'm going to graph this right here. So I'm going to put the bird's path in first. We're going to see the bird's path. And then we're going to find when it is at 8 feet. Okay? So I'm going to hop into Desmos.
You can put that whole equation in there.
Not with the equal sign. You got to pick a side. So I'm going to put just the right-hand side in.
How will you know when it's at 8? Oh, you just look over at it.
You answered your own question. Negative 16. I can't put t's in here. It has a t, but it thinks you mean something else. You have to do x's and y's on this. So negative 16t squared plus 15t.
You put 25.
What is it on the page? I might have said it wrong and wrote the right
Oh,
thing.
Then maybe I don't.
Can you
I'm
guys?
not on the right page.
Oh, sorry. It's on page 99, I think, where they have it written for you.
Yeah, it's 25. You said
Okay.
15. So
I said 15, but yeah. Okay.
I just.
And then it's what, plus 45? Okay. So here is the flight path of the angry bird.
Wow.
Come on. I thought I was able to get this to...
What did you just do?
I'm changing what I'm seeing on the x and the y axis. I don't need
Like
anything
how? Like
new.
what is it changing?
So I clicked on the wrench, and then here where it says x axis, I'm changing the things on either side of the x.
But like what? Like what are you changing?
The numbers on either side of the x.
Like like what it's labeled like?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was confused.
That's okay. Yeah, I just want to be able to see this picture better.
Oh,
So I'm just changing the number so that it shows me a different amount along the x-axis.
So what do you change it to? Like what number?
I just want to make sure that I can see the whole graph and that it's not too tall and skinny. So I was playing around with those numbers until I could see the graph, and it didn't
You
look
made
like
it
just...
bigger?
I didn't make it bigger. I zoomed in this way, but not this way. So it's kind of like, have you ever resized a picture and you just pull it in one direction and it makes them look like really
Yeah.
wide? I basically did that to this. You could also do it the other way where you like make somebody look really skinny. You can do that if you change the y values. If you change both the x's and the y's, which is what happens when I pinch and zoom, it changes them both at the same time. So that like if there was a picture here, it would still look like that person.
But you changed. That's why the y stayed at like 10.
Mhm.
You see the 7, and you just made the x's bigger.
Yep.
Okay.
I just zoomed the x's in. Looking at it like this, would this ever hit a piggy that was at 8 feet?
No.
Where would I be looking on the graph?
I don't know.
At the y-axis. Where on the y-axis?
At the
At 8 feet. Where's 8 feet on the y-axis?
right after somewhere between 5 and 10.
Yeah.
Below 20.
So somewhere down here, right? So if I go back and forth, will my graph ever intersect that?
Oh no, I will not. Oh yes, it will. I'm looking at the wrong thing. So it intersects at like 1. Can you put the label in?
That blue line.
So it intersects twice, one at -1, I don't know what that number is. Could you tap the dot?
Yep, I can tap the dot.
Okay, not -1.
So almost -1.
And then what's the other one? So 1, 2.
Do you think the bird is actually going to hit here?
Can't negatively hit it, right?
Yeah, because what does our T mean here?
Time.
Time.
You
You
can't
can't
have
hit it at
negative time.
-1 second. Could I hit it here?
Yes.
Yeah,
2
at 2.
seconds and at 8.
Yeah.
2.29.
About 2.5 seconds is where it is when it would hit a piggy that was 8 feet off the ground.
Do we need to submit this?
You're not going to submit this thing. You guys are going to work on making a poster for me. You're going to work in groups, no smaller than 2,
Could you
no bigger than 4.
could you leave the other work out? Sorry,
Mhm.
I wasn't writing down.
Yep.
I thought we were just talking about it.
Nope, that's okay. These are not any of the answers on that page, though.
Well, I'm just saying, like, just so we can.
Yeah,
see.
I'll put it back up.
Okay, thank you.
But here's the directions for the remainder of the class period. You guys are going to form a group. You need to answer the questions on page 99. You are welcome to use Desmos in a graph. You are welcome to use analytical methods. You are welcome to make a table. Whatever it is that helps you wrap your head around the questions that are being asked here. I did also link a Desmos on our class Canvas page. You don't have to submit it for me. It's just a way to help you think through it. I'm going to give you a big piece of paper and some markers, and you need to prove your answers. Provide enough justification. Yes, these piggies can be hit. No, none of these piggies can be hit. Or yes, it's going to hit these, but not those. How do you know? All right? That's what I want you guys to do for the remainder of the class period today. And you'll hang it up before the end of the class period.
We're